Welcome to the Visualize Meditations podcast, hosted by your friend Sasha Patil, a Chopra certified meditation teacher. The first step to creating the life of your dreams is to create a clear and compelling vision for what you want for the future. I'll be guiding you on visualization meditation so you can get clear on your deepest desires. Let's get started so you can turn your vision into a reality. Hi, hello, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Visualize Meditations podcast. It's your gal pal Sasha, and I'm here with my childhood best friend. Hello, it's Parker. So we're here, we're chatting. Just to give Parker some context, because before we sat down, he was like, so what are we doing? And basically, before I started this digital nomad journey, I knew I was going to be interviewing friends, hosts, strangers, random people. And I knew these people were going to be really different from different walks of life, different ages, different genders, different backgrounds. And it's like, okay, well, what are 10 questions I could ask anybody where it will allow you to connect with anybody, and it could be like a reflective, introspective moment, but at the same time, like, tangents are good, and if we get into some random ass conversation, cool. And that's kind of the vibe. So to paint the scene for everybody, we're sitting outside our Airbnb at a coffee shop on the lake. That's like, how far are we at Ho Chi Minh? Or not, sorry, Ho Chi Minh, Hanoi.
About 45 minutes via car outside of Hanoi.
Yeah, which is like, in retrospect, when I looked at the map, I thought this place was closer, because like I looked around and it looked like there were like...
I know. It's way more spread out than you would have ever thought it being. It is kind of crazy.
Yeah. When I looked at the map, I was like, oh, there are like bars and restaurants around and stuff. So, it must be central. No. Every time we want to go into town, it's like a long-ass car ride.
Yeah.
Which is kind of annoying, but at the same time, like, it's fine. And also the center of town is like hustling, bustling too.
Yep.
So it's kind of nice to have a space that's like...
I mean, this is definitely a whole lot nicer for a whole lot cheaper than anything we could have afforded in town. So in a way, it does work.
That's probably why I chose the spot too.
I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, I would assume you chose it because you obviously have to work from home and the amenities and stuff, right? Like, probably.
It's always like for me, I always like to prioritize. Well, Wi-Fi is number one priority, and I always like to see if reviews have like they mention good Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So because honestly, it ruins my whole life if there's not good Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi, and then laundry, and then gym, and then a pool. So those are like my top priorities typically. And then I also like to, like, location-wise, if I'm alone too, I typically like to live somewhere more central so I can just go out and about and I don't have to worry about Ubers or anything like that. But yeah, it's a little far out. But and we were just saying like, oh, after this it's our last full day in Hanoi, and we were saying we want to go out of town. It's like, well, do you have enough time to do everything? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I don't. That's okay. So for context, which is actually funny for this conversation, how do we know each other?
I think there's a lot of debate as to whether it's first grade or second grade. I think it was first grade during SAC, if I had to guess.
I think that's probably when we met.
Right.
SAC was our after-school program.
SAC was our after-school program at our elementary school. I think it was SAC. Or was it second grade?
Well, second grade, we were definitely...
We were in class together.
We had the same second grade teacher.
Yeah. I think I met Danny in third grade because he didn't do SAC with the three of us.
Yeah.
So I met him in that class, in like whatever her name was. I'm pretty sure I met him there.
We had third grade together too. Oh, and Danny was in our third grade class. I think we were in class together second grade, third grade, fifth grade.
Second grade, third grade, fifth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then... Yeah, it's crazy. Let's go through the history of our friendship.
Yeah, I think that was...
So, debate if we met first grade or second. Well, I went to the after-school program in first grade too. Yeah. So I think we must have met there.
We must have met, but I don't know if we were that close. I think we probably got closer...
We got closer in fifth grade.
Second. Well, we got obviously very close.
Super close in fifth grade.
Fifth grade. But I think we were still close in second, third. I don't even remember anymore. I think definitely we're close in third. I don't know. Whatever. We've known each other since we were 5-ish years old, which is actually, outside of my immediate family, you are the relationship I've had longest in my life, which is so wild. And then we went to different middle schools. Yes.
Which actually my mom says that was probably a really good thing. My mom says that we probably wouldn't be as close now if we went to the same middle school because we got to go do puberty separately. And there wasn't any weird, weird romantic dynamics between any of our friends because we went and did...
Oh, I wasn't even thinking that. I just thought when we were all going through our awkward phase. Yeah.
True. I mean, so we did middle school separately, which was like, middle school was so miserable for me. Like, I was so alone because literally all of our friends went to your middle school.
Yeah.
And I went to the other middle school, and I still made friends there, but like, I'm way tighter with the people that I met in elementary school than middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's that. And then high school, we were like friends,
Mhm.
but I don't know when we got like super, super close again. Like we were friends and saw each other like, you know, here
Yeah.
and there for lunch. And I think we had lunch in the same spot.
It was 11th.
11th, we got
So
ridiculously close again.
9th, I used to hang out with like Dan and Kriv and Zach and all of them in the little library. It's on the floor. We sat on the fucking floor of the goddamn
Well, I sat
outside
there
of the
too, but
library.
just in a different group.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
yeah. You sat with like
sitting with the-
Kenzie and them.
I was
And I
sitting
sat
on the
with the
seat
other
again.
guy. And I thought it was the stupidest thing in the world. I absolutely hated that. Then, yeah, 10th grade was other people. Then that's when I was like dating Alyssa and
Yeah.
stuff. 11th grade, that was the tail end of that. And then, oh no, then I hung out with like Nicola and all of them. I think it was like 12th grade. Because then a few times we sat in like the gym, right?
Yeah,
in that like back gym.
Yeah.
And we ate lunch
think
with like
we ate
Mike and
there a-
Shannon and
We
stuff.
ate there a lot senior year.
Yeah, and like
But-
Tim and Kayla.
I think we got like closer 11th grade, but then senior year of high school, Parker and I hung out every single day after school, especially like the second half of senior year. Because the first half, like you're grinding it. I mean,
Of course, everybody's like doing Common App stuff, preparing for, college, whatever else, right?
Yeah, so we were, I mean, I feel like I worked a lot through the entire year of senior year because I don't know what compelled me to take like fucking 4 or 5 AP classes that year, but I decided to kill myself. And then, but literally we hung out every single day after school, senior year of high school. And like Parker's a huge basketball fan, so we would go to all the like
Go to all the
basketball games, and
games.
Parker would explain to me like all the rules of the basketball games. And I'm just like, I'm here for the vibes, but I'm learning about what the hell's happening. I don't know. And then we went to college like we didn't see each other often, like maybe like once or twice a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, like when we were at school, we would see each other once or twice a year, even though like you went to school in Hoboken and I went to school in New York.
Yeah.
So literally it was only like a 20-minute train, like nothing.
It's true.
And then I think you came into the city a couple times. I went out to you like once, but then during winter breaks and during summer breaks, we were together all the time, all the time. And then also I think it's important to mention too, like it wasn't just the two of us. Like we had a group of friends, and the group of friends has gotten like, started out as like kind of 4, and then it became like 6 and then 8. And I think 8 was the max. And then we had a very dramatic friend breakup where the group literally split halfway down the middle about 4 years ago now, 3-4 years ago. And then it split again. So now there's only 3 of us left. And I'd say like you and I feel way closer to, I talked to like our third friend, Lewis, I talked to him more, but I feel like much closer to you because we've known each other longer. And I think we're just way more similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just not good at keeping up with anybody, right? That's just naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We never talk.
Yeah.
We never talk.
Yeah.
Okay. But, now we're here. So it's crazy. And I think this is like, and we've just like maintained a friendship. So every time I'm home, we see each other. And that's pretty much just like.
Yeah, that's a given.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I have to see my family. Like there are people I have to see every time I come home. And you are in that list.
Yeah.
Like it's literally my parents, my sister, my aunt, you, and Lewis, like our third friend. And every single time I have to see you guys, like top priority. So yeah, so we've been friends for 20-something years at this point.
That's time.
It's fucking crazy.
Which makes me feel so old.
I know, right?
Terrible.
We're so old.
Crap.
Literally, I don't know how. Like our friendship is old. Like I've said this before, our friendship's old enough to buy a beer, but our friendship is gonna hit like a quarter life crisis soon. Isn't that crazy? That's nuts.
Oh Lord.
Okay, so what's your story?
How far back do you want me to go?
You can
with
interpret
my
that question
story?
however you like.
Okay, I guess for your audience and for the internet, the general basic story is my name is Parker Petroff-Rims. I was born in China, in Changsha, back in 1998. I lived there and was adopted by 2 loving parents and came to the United States when I was about 10 months old. I have loved, living in America, kind of being with that family. I have an amazing aunt who essentially is my mother. So I've got 2 dads and a mom in a way. We, at a certain point, moved from Philadelphia to New Jersey, which is the same place that we lived and we grew up together. My brother is from Cambodia, and we adopted him when I was about 5 years old. And I think he is also one of my best friends in the world. We are very, very different, if you like, I guess, look at my interests and personalities and like the sum of my personality, in like half of the ways I'm more like you, and then the complete other half of the ways I'm more like Beret. And you guys are like this Venn diagram that does not touch me.
Yeah, actually.
And so, I mean, that's good, right? Like, I love him to death. I love my family to death. I'm incredibly close to them. One of the reasons that I stayed close to home was for them. My parents are getting a little bit older now, and I love them to death. I have, obviously, as everyone does, right, complications and strife with my family members, but I love them to death.
I didn't realize that was one of the reasons you stayed close to home.
Mhm.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I didn't even think
So
about
it's
that.
that's one of the biggest reasons.
I didn't know.
That is the biggest reason.
I didn't even
To
know
be
that.
honest, yeah, that is the biggest reason.
I had the opposite experience where I'm like,
Yeah.
I need an hour buffer minimum from my family.
I mean, that's what I did in college, right? Like, I loved being. I lived like 2 hours away up in North Jersey from them during college, and I loved that freeing experience, right? I could have. My parents work at the College of New Jersey.
It was
I
close
could have.
enough.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I could have gone there, gotten a free ride, but it would have always been their school. I would always been living in their shadow, and I wanted to break out of that shell. I wanted to be my own person and develop my own experiences, my own friends. And going to a different school allowed me to do that and then develop intellectually as well at the same time and kind of grow the career that I wanted to. So I'm in debt, tons of debt, and that's just how it is. And I wouldn't change anything for the world, even with all of the debt that I have. And so, yeah, I moved back to Philadelphia. I had a few internships abroad and gave me a little taste of living away. Then I had to move back. I was the entire time considering moving away and finding a different place to live in my adult life, but then got a job relatively near, wasn't going to stay and live in like the suburbs near Pennsylvania. So decided to live in Philly itself. And I've really enjoyed my time there, the people that I've met. I love, obviously, being close to my family and kind of keeping that whole unit together as one. So I think and I recently just bought a house there. So I expect to stay there for the foreseeable future. Not to say that I'll stay at the same company for forever, but at least somewhat in the same location, at least for a while I still have some of the prime years of my parents' life left. And then as they transition into the age where I need to start taking care of them, then I'll kind of be in a close proximity to be able to do that easier, as opposed to, having to fly or do these long car rides every time I need to check up on them.
That makes sense. Well, actually, I read this this statistic that shows that you spend 90% of the time with your family before you turn 18.
Mhm.
Or, 90% of the time in your whole life that you're going to spend with your family is before you turn 18.
Mhm.
And then from 18 until you die, that's the last 10% of time you're going to spend with your family.
Yeah.
So it's so nice that you're so close in that way, because you can kind of extend that and spend more time with them. I'm just like, I love spending time with my family, but I have a limit. Like, I can't spend, especially when they're together, like, I can't spend a lot of time with them, because it's just like that dynamic is way too toxic for me. And it's like, whatever. Doesn't really matter, but it's just kind of what it is. And I didn't realize that was why you stay close to home. Damn. I guess that makes sense, though.
Yeah. It's totally for them.
Yeah.
It's 100% for them.
See, like, I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, they kind of want to prioritize coming to me wherever I am. So they're kind of like, well, we're not moving anywhere until you figure out where the hell you're going. Because for a while, we were looking into Florida when I was in Miami. And they've also been talking about moving to Florida since we graduated high school. So, like, really, when is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? But I'm also in the camp where I'm like, I freaking love my parents, but there's no way they're going to live with me ever. And I tell them, I'm like, listen, I will put you guys in the nicest retirement home. Like,
my parents would kill me if I did that.
Wait, do you think they're going to live with you if they, like, you need to take care of them?
Well, that's always been the joke, that at one point, I was going to become rich, and then I was going to have all these spare wings in my house, and that my aunt was going to live there, and my brother was going to live in the basement.
Your whole family was going to come live with you.
Everybody was going to come live with me.
Honestly, I'm not even surprised. Like, I kind of see it.
Yeah, I don't want that to happen, of course, but I will do whatever it takes for them.
So you wouldn't put them in a retirement home?
I would not put them in a retirement home.
Oh my God.
If it meant, like, I want them to stay as independent as possible, right? So, like, if they, like, my aunt obviously lives alone, and then my parents currently live with my brother. My brother's still at home. I expect at some point my brother will move out, hopefully. And then my two parents will be together, but I will just come over and make sure that they're okay. I'll try and do that. If I need to have some level of service to have people check up on them or give them groceries or do whatever, I'll do that. But I don't want to put them in a home. I think they wouldn't like it.
Mhm. Yeah.
They've said that too.
Oh, they
That
said that
they
too.
do like kill me before you put me in a home.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
See, like, I think my dad would thrive in a retirement home.
probably.
Because my dad, like, loves people and community and, like,
Yeah.
people around. Like, I think he would really thrive having, like, a lot of different people
Mhm.
around. My mom, I don't know. I think she'd be very content, like, living
I
on
feel
her
like she'd live
own.
a relatively quiet life at retiring.
That's what she lives a relatively quiet life now. You know what my mom does is listen to freaking audiobooks and Taylor Swift and draw and doodle. That's literally all my mom does.
Yeah,
Like, so
yeah.
I
I
think she would.
imagine her like sitting on the porch reading a good book. You know,
Yeah.
people watching.
That's exactly what she would do. I don't think she would kind of go crazy. Like, I don't know, but it's interesting for sure. I don't know. We'll see kind of what happens, I guess. But
Mhm.
I could see your entire family coming to live with you, like knowing you and your family's dynamics. Like, I kind of see that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this question is actually interesting, and I'm gonna add in a separate one that I don't typically add, but I do love to ask people who have been friends for a long time this, and I've never actually asked this with one of my closest. Well, maybe I have in like a separate podcast, whatever. But I have two questions. Number one, 3 words you use to describe yourself, and the second is 3 words you'd use to describe me, and vice versa.
3 words and describe. Okay, I guess I will start with you. Might be easier. The first word is I'd say like honest. I mean, like that's
Yeah,
pretty honest
it's
when I say that all the time.
as you say it all the time, and it's actually funny because I didn't know that about myself until
Mhm.
you told me.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, shit." Like, didn't know that.
Mhm.
It's like, no one told me.
Yeah. And in a lot of ways, I'm like the opposite. Like I am very much a people pleaser.
Yeah.
Like I'm always nervous about rocking the boat. Internally, I have all these thoughts, but I'm always afraid of, not always, right? But like depending on the person, I'm usually afraid of being like calling people out on things
Yeah.
unless it's like very clear, matter of fact, whatever, or they ask and solicit my advice. I'm usually not somebody to be like, oh, you're being a bitch. You're being like this. You're doing this, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Because I don't know. I usually just don't think it's my place to do that.
Yeah.
And
I do that.
yeah, and I try and be a little more delicate.
I know. We
Um,
had a situation, what was it, like, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, where you, me, and our third friend were sitting at, we're not friends with him anymore, but we were sitting at a Chipotle, and he and our other friend were fighting, and I looked him dead in the face, and I was like, I have something to say. Can I
Mhm.
say it? And you told me that the other guy looked like he was going to shit his pants. And I just straight up said, you're being a shit friend right now.
Yeah.
You're being a shit friend to our third buddy. And this is absolutely horrible. When you and your partner
Yeah.
split up, you're going to be fucking sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's unacceptable behavior. And I haven't spoken to him since because
Yeah.
it's like, if you're going to treat our friend like that, why would I be friends with you? Even
Yeah.
though like we've been friends for 20 something years. But yeah, honest is, I didn't know about myself until you said it. And that's one of my words now for myself too, is because you told me that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. So like in that specific example, right, the way it plays out when you say something as bluntly as you did, it puts somebody in a corner. They have two roads out, right? It's either to be incredibly defensive, in which this case this person was, right? Double down on everything, the way they're doing it, why they're doing it,
Yeah.
and just put all their chips in the center. Or to apologize and to try and come to an understanding. There's usually it's usually like two extremes.
Yeah.
I usually try and like go in the gray area in the middle, right? Like I think there's sometimes with enough deft, there's an ability to like negotiate a win-win situation.
Yeah,
But
completely.
in that way, it was like, I mean, there was not going to be winning, right? Because he
Yeah.
was awful and I don't think Danny had the depth to be able to like talk his way out of that situation anyways.
Yeah,
It was
completely.
always going to come to a front in some blow up of a manner, which
Yeah.
it did just faster because you were blunter than
Then going the circumvent way and be like, I don't know. You know, what's
Yeah.
really interesting is that both of our approaches to being honest with people is actually very much so correlated to how we deal with our own families.
yes.
And you and I have very similar, like very same but different. Like same family dynamics, but very different, like very similar in some ways and very different in other ways. Like we both have like people we consider 3 parents. So we both have like similar toxic situations happening. And you and I deal with our families in the same way, like we deal with that. Like I'm just like upfront and I'm like, this is fucked up.
Yeah.
And I just say it out loud and I don't bullshit it and I remove myself. And you're like, we can maybe work it out. Like maybe we can find a happy medium. And
and I think to exactly on that point, I think a lot of the reason I deal with it in the way that I do is because I have a brother.
Yes.
And because if I blew it up, he would have to deal with the ramifications of that. So I try and do it in the most amenable way possible, especially now that if I go over to their house and I blow things up, I make things super apparent, super obvious, I'm super honest, and we get into it, I can leave at the end of the night. My brother is there dealing with the fallout for the rest of the time until I come back and I try and fix it again.
Right.
So I know that I need to be a little bit more crafty with the way that I try and do it because he doesn't have the toolbox to handle those situations, right? He doesn't have the toolbox to be able to, if they are fighting, if they are bickering, to be able to step in and handle it peacefully. I think he'll just become reclusive and then they'll keep fighting. They'll go at each other's throats after the path that I've left them. And it helps that, right, your parents don't live together. Right?
My parents live together and I don't have any siblings.
Yeah, and you don't have any siblings. So it's like, it's a similar situation, but I think the reason that we deal with it differently is because of our circumstances.
Completely. That makes sense. I think one word I'd use for you, I think we're just going to go back and forth at this point. One word I'd use for you is like, I think my first 2 words are a little bit more, they sound surface level, but they're not. Like, I'd say friendly, first and foremost. Like, and it's funny because I think you were nominated for friendliest person in high school. I don't think you won, but like you were nominated for it, and you just like you can make friends with anybody. You'll go in, you're interested, you know, and I don't know if it's the people pleaser in you too that like kind of comes through there where you're just like you make friends with whoever.
Yeah.
And it's like very easy for you.
Yeah.
Like I never have to worry about Parker like chilling by himself. Like he's going, he's making friends, he's doing his thing, whatever. So I definitely say friendly. I'd say like also positive and like uplifting, which again sounds surface level, but it's doesn't matter. Like I also don't have to worry about you dragging down the vibe or you being an energy drain or an energy suck. Like you're always uplifting. You're always excited about whatever the fuck we're doing. You're always like happy to be where we are. Like if you're angry about something, you're almost like angry in a frustrated, funny way, but then like let it go typically, unless it's something like really, really big. But then, but like that comes to my third word. But you're happy to be there. You're excited. You're stoked. You're just like uplifting. It's always like a joy to be around you. Like I always feel like I don't have to hold the vibe up by myself, which sometimes I do. I feel like I have to hold the energy up. But with you, I don't feel that way, which is so nice and refreshing. But I think my third word, I've been thinking about this actually. My third word is unsuspecting. And I think I see this play out with you in every which way. Like I see it play out with you where it's like, again, super positive and uplifting and like so happy to be wherever you are. But I know there's so much more depth to like, you're actually dealing with a lot and you're actually like upset about a lot of things and angry about a lot of things. And you like bury it deep, deep down. Like on the surface, so happy and like positive and whatever. But on the surface, on down below, I know that there's a lot going on with you internally. I know that you were like really struggling with a lot of stuff that you don't bring up to the surface. Also the same thing with your intelligence. Like I know you're wicked smart, but like on the surface, like just a normal guy, but like you're fucking wicked smart. Like like genius. Like a genius, so intelligent, but again, on the surface you're just like chill, calm, whatever, and like you know when you have a conversation with you, but you don't really know how smart you are until I think I just know because I've seen you first of all like study our entire lives, and I also like know your background with everything, and you also just help me with my homework how many fucking times by calculus and whatever. But like so smart, just like all of these things. Like I think on the surface you're just like the chill, cool guy, like who's positive and friendly and uplifting, and but then there's so much depth that's unsuspecting. There's so much there. Yeah. But it like looks level, you know? Yeah.
Well, I think there's always the debate of nurture versus nature, right? How much of it comes from, you know, I wonder how much of it I really embody, like the Eastern culture that I was born into versus the Western culture that I was raised up in. And I think a lot, and I've gone through this in therapy a bunch, which has been really helpful, but I think a lot of the positivity that you're kind of speaking to is twofold. One, it's probably in some ways a coping mechanism for a lot of things. And two, I actually do really find, as much as like internally things get really tough sometimes, I do actually find life to be so fascinating, right? So interesting. I love hearing about people's stories, and I love interacting with people. I think there's so much interesting concepts in the world, from like technology and like more scientific things to a lot about history and art, that I find really interesting. Like, I can find the value and the interest pretty much anything that has thought and intellectual capacity behind it. Whatever it is, like, I love the way that people think about things, the way they do things, the strategy behind them, like the way people go about executing, right? Like, I think all of that stuff is really fascinating. And talking to, obviously, people who are super into whatever thing that they're into is always really interesting to me. Throughout my life, I've always had a lot of like little niche kind of interests and stuff, and they don't always last, right? They can't always last for everything, but I usually get into like little wormholes about little things.
I could definitely add curious to your list too.
Yeah. And I think the other part is, right, like the people pleaser for sure, right? Like, I think that's important to kind of state. I think deep down inside, I recognize it consciously, but I think subconsciously probably takes even more of a hold. The fact that I was adopted from China, right, is something that weighs on me constantly. I get asked the question all the time when I tell people that I'm adopted. They're like, oh, well, have you ever been back to China? Do you want to go back to China? Do you know anything about your parents? The only thing I've ever heard is that, I was born when my mother was 16 years old or 15 years old. She was incredibly young. It was clearly an accident, to the point where the family was seeing this as like a dishonorable act. It was something terrible that occurred, and they instantly needed to get rid of me.
Yeah.
Boys at this time, right, just were not adopted.
Yeah,
right? They
that
just
is an
were
interesting
not
thing.
adopted.
Yeah.
I was the 25th boy ever adopted in my, I don't know what the range is, the scope, out of my area of China, right?
Yeah.
So my parents fully expected me to be a girl when they signed up for adoption, and then I came out as a boy. So there's definitely some level of gratitude that I have for, living the life that I have, being as blessed as I am. In a lot of ways, that makes me even more appreciative of the family that I have, because, there's a chance I had none,
Yeah.
right? There's a chance that, they would have just left me on the street somewhere. Nobody would have picked me up. The orphanage would have, I don't know, I could be dead right now.
Yeah.
So it's things that I don't know, I consciously think of all the time, especially when people bring up that content, the topic. But subconsciously, I think it weighs on me too. I don't know how it can't, right?
Yeah.
I think in similar ways, my brother being adopted has similar issues that he goes through. But he was a little older when he got adopted, so I think they weigh on him in a much more deep sense, something that he can't get over sometimes, especially since he was a twin, and his twin passed away very young. And I think he deals with a lot of trauma surrounding those events that he has not really been able to talk about with anybody, including myself. And I consider myself the closest person to him in the world. So I think because of that, I'm always, cognizant of their feelings, their emotions, everything that they've sacrificed for me. It's like, it's a very and then that's the thing, right? It's like the very stereotypical Asian thing, right? Where your parents give up so much for you to have you live a better life, and then you are always kind of in debt to them, right? Emotionally, financially, etc.
Yeah.
So I do think about that quite a bit. And I think in a lot of ways, right, like a lot of the things that I do now and the way that I've always been is to help maintain some level of peace in the household.
Yeah.
Right? As minimal and as short lasting as it can be sometimes, I think that is how I realized, it's everything about psychology is just you do a behavior and then you get rewarded or punished for that behavior.
Yeah.
And that tells you how to act in the future.
And it reinforces
right?
whatever
and it
behavior.
reinforces
Yeah,
that.
completely.
Right? So it's like, if that worked in the household, then that worked out with friends, that worked with teachers, that worked with whatever, right?
Yeah.
And you develop, Freud has this thing, as I'm wearing a Freud shirt, of just like do you actually have a personality when you're born? Or is it, are you a blank slate? And do you grow up with the experiences defining your personality? That was his theory. And I don't know.
Well, the interesting thing about, and I think I mentioned this to you when I sent you like your birthday voice message, the really gorgeous thing about being friends with somebody for so long is that I see you and I look at you and we have conversations and I'm like, you're still the same 5-year-old person to me. Like we're still, like you're at the core, you're literally still the same person. And you've always been the same person, like no matter what. But at the same time, I've seen your evolution and your growth and how much you've changed. But both realities exist at the same time where it's like, you are still at the core the same person I've known literally my entire life and your entire life, basically. But at the same time, I have seen how much you've grown, changed, evolved, learned, and so many things like are so different from how you were. But then at the same time, you're still the fucking core. And like that, maybe both realities exist at the same time. Like maybe it's possible that you're multiverse. Like maybe it is possible that that your personality, like you're born with it, and at the same time you are in some ways a blank slate where you like nature versus nurture. Maybe it is both. Maybe it's nature and nurture at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think about, but it's like I see it with you, and it's not like something that you can say about a lot of people because I don't. Like, I haven't been friends with anybody this long, you know? Like, I can't say this about anyone. Sure, maybe like a decade or whatever, but like 2 or something? Like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
You know? And it's pretty cool. But yeah, those are my 3 words for you. Ha. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you're the only person who would describe me that way. I think most people would describe me that way. At least the friends who I'm very close to, the people who know me the best in the world, would say the same things, that it's like an onion, right? You'll rip off the layers, because I try and keep it. It's not that I try to, but like with most people, right? I keep it with the outside because it's the easiest, right? It's just like, they're coworkers, they're, just like basic friends, right? It's like, obviously you don't need to get into the nitty gritty of every little problem. And I'm somebody, again, going back to the people pleaser thing, who will be able to internalize and deal with my problems myself. So I don't usually need, or I don't seek out help from other people to handle those problems, which is good in some ways, right? It makes me stronger, gives me character, but in other ways, right, I haven't reached out and got that support, which probably would have been helpful at times.
Positives and negatives, pros and cons.
Positives and negatives.
Yeah, like you take care of shit, but at the same time, like you internalize so much. And that can be really tough on the soul and the heart and the body. Yeah. Yeah. So both exist at the same time completely. Up, down. Down.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's first word. Second word.
Yeah.
Let me, I would say just like gregarious.
Gregarious.
Yeah. It's just like you want to be around people, right?
Yeah.
A lot of animals are considered gregarious. They're always in tribes, right? They're always in packs. They love being around their people, right? And I think the mission of your life always, since I've known you, has always just been to find your people, right? Has always been to find the people who you admire, who you can grow with, who you appreciate, who appreciate you. And what you bring to the table. And I think you're never not in the search for that. You're always willing to like meet people where they are and to like get to know them and to see whether they can fit your reality, right? That the sphere of influence that you have. But and that goes, I think, a lot with like the honesty portion, right? If it's somebody who, doesn't fit the 2 types of people that you want to surround yourself with, like our friend Danny, for example, then you aren't afraid to tell them, and you're not afraid to cut them off if you know that they're not fitting that.
Yeah. If they're not aligned, I'm not afraid to cut a bitch off.
Yeah.
And I have, and you've seen me do it.
Yeah.
So many times, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, actually, I didn't think about that, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's so true. And like even you saying it, I think about like the history of my life and like it's true. I'm always in pursuit of finding like my people, my tribe, and it's changed over time. And it's always changed over time. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, again, right, that goes back to the previous conversation of as your personality changes, as the mission in your life, the stage of your life changes, then the people who you want to surround yourself with change.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
true.
naturally that's just how it works.
Yeah.
I think some people stay, like, so like your ex, for example, right? Like, I think some people maybe stay in a certain mindset, in a certain stage of life for a lot of the time, which is how people can kind of maintain the friendships from, you know, like the exact same friend group from when you were like 4
Yeah.
up until now, right?
Yeah.
Like you just want to hang out with the bros, right?
Yeah.
And that's the primary thing you want to do. You don't necessarily need to grow or want to grow in certain ways. So the people that you are with are growing together, but in the same way, potentially.
Yeah. Yeah. And it has been true with my ex's group of friends. Like, it's been the same group of friends since they were all 4 years old. And they have kind of all grown in the same direction.
Yeah.
Which is very cool to see.
Yeah.
But also, like...
Yeah. But I don't necessarily want that, and neither do you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that is that. And I think the third, I'm deciding between the two.
You can say both. Like, I would add curious to your list. That makes 4.
I would think, like in general, I think it's like... Okay, I think the best word probably would be like just determined, right?
Yeah.
So it's like whatever that thing is, you are determined to see it through. And I think it's determined to maintain, I was going to say caring, right? But it was like determined. I think determined is a better, more encompassing word, because if you're determined and intentional, right, to keep the friends, to keep relationships, then you will do that. If you're determined to launch a podcast, to get signed to the podcast network, to do well in your current 9-to-5 job, like whatever you want to do, you are determined to do it, right? And things will not dissuade you from doing that.
Yeah, it's true.
But I think that's a good encompassing word for it.
And then the fourth one you would have chosen was caring, but you think that determined...
Yeah, but I think determined, like, if you can, like, in the interpretation of the word, I think, because I wanted to fit into 3.
No, like, completely.
Yeah.
And I definitely see that. Like, and something I really love about myself is that I know that if I set my mind on something, and if I say I'm going to fucking do something, I'm going to fucking do it no matter what. Like, I know I have more follow through, and it's something that I'm so proud of building over my lifetime, and it's something so like that I love about myself so much, is that I know like when I say I'm going to do something, it gets done, like no matter what. And even if it takes a long time, even if it takes a lot of struggle, I don't care. Like it'll happen. And I think that also comes with like, and we've had this conversation before, where I think that also comes from like my parents. Neither of them have a lot of follow through with things. Like, they say they're going to do something, they never do it in like so many areas of life for both of them. And I think it just frustrated me so much that it taught me, like, I don't want to live a life like them. And I had to take care of so much, because it's like, if they were not going to take care of it, I had to take care of it. Yeah. And so, like, I had to develop this follow through. And also, it was kind of like forced into me by both of them, too. Like, you must get the good grades. You must do this. You must, like, whatever. Yeah. And so, like, I think that's where I built this, like, follow through muscle. But it also just, like, it makes me feel so great whenever I do accomplish something that I worked really hard for. And then also, it's something that really fucking bothers me in other people, is when people say they are going to do something and they don't do it. Like, inaction drives me fucking crazy. I can tolerate it, and I will always be there to, like, be your cheerleader, cheer you on, be like, let's go. Like, you want to do this thing? Like, I will help you. I am there with you, no matter what. But when people say they're going to do something and then they don't do it, oh my God, I just want to punch them in the fucking face. And then I want to not cut them off, but sometimes I want to distance myself, because I'm like, I don't want to be around people who don't have follow through. Like, it just, like, really stirs something up in me, and I'm like, ooh, it really sits with me the wrong way. But I think that also comes from, like, family, and that's the whole conversation, nature versus nurture, you know? Yeah. Do you 3 to describe yourself?
I think it would be like glue. Like, I don't
glue.
Yeah.
Okay, in what way?
In the way of...
Well, you do hold shit together.
Trying to hold shit together.
You hold everything all together all the time. It's like your family or your emotions or the situation.
Exactly. So I think it's like, it's that, like, I think that's a core fundament of who I am,
Yeah.
right? It's trying to keep things together as much as possible. I think the second part of that is, and I guess these aren't like direct, these aren't like basic personality traits. They're more like personality traits that reflect themselves in action and behavior, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the second one I would say would be learning, right? So it's not that like I'm learned.
Yeah.
I'm not. What I'm saying is I'm always
You're
on a
curious.
journey to learn.
Yeah.
And that doesn't just mean from the topics that you would read in a book or in whatever, right? Like it's more about, I see life as an entire journey, the full 100 or however many years I'm going to be on this earth.
Yeah.
I constantly see myself growing. I want to keep growing. I don't think I'm a fully fleshed out human, even at the age of 27. And I don't ever want to be a fully fleshed out human. And I think that's the mindset that I have, where I don't think I popped out a natural born whatever.
Yeah.
I think inherently there are some skills and some things that I have a propensity towards, right? I have an affinity towards. But I think I always want to grow and learn about new interests, new topics, new emotional things, right? I want to learn about myself. I want to learn about the world. I want to learn about all these things. I want to keep growing, keep developing. I started drinking late. I started doing drugs late. I started eating meat late. I got a tattoo a little bit later. And these are all things that like I'm doing when I find that they're the right time to do.
Yeah.
I'm doing it, and I'm trying to grow these friendships. And I think what this all comes down to, right, is it's like, I think we both, throughout the time that I'd known you before graduating, right, we were in the same grind mindset.
Yeah.
Right? I think we both, wanted to obviously get into a good college, do well in college, do something well afterwards. And
we were hustle in high school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think in a lot of ways, I look back on that as good. It got me to where I was now, and same for you. But at least the route that I've taken it now is I want to slow down a little.
You want to enjoy your life.
I want to be intentional about, and I think because I was hustle, I didn't always do the things that I wanted to do, right? Like I didn't build I built a lot of good relationships, of course, but I wasn't able to just sit there and enjoy like a beer with someone, right? As much as I wanted to.
I don't know if that's true though.
Right.
Because it's like yes, maybe it wasn't the way you wanted, but like I think back to our time before graduating and we were hustle. But I think about especially the last year, like we sat and enjoyed a lot, and maybe it wasn't a beer, but maybe it was a burrito. Like we sat and had so many fucking burritos and just sat there and enjoyed. We would go see so many movies together. You and I would sit in the fucking car at the end of the night and talk for hours.
True.
And like for, multiple days a week. You know what I mean? So like.
But I think at that point I kind of knew that things were solidified.
True.
So it's just like at that point in high school things were solidified, but then it ramped back up in college. So like that's kind of where I'm approaching this from. Is more,
you mean
more
like the
my college timeline. Yeah.
Got it.
Where it's like I was hustling, to do these clubs, these internships. Like I was in an investment fund, right? Like a hedge fund, right? I did all these things. And looking back on it,
program.
Like, and I learned a lot from it. Like it helped me become who I am today. But looking back on it, I think there's a lot of things that I would have done differently. And I think I'm not somebody who will be hurt by, some people are like, oh, I don't want to have any regrets, right? Meaning that like whatever they do, they're like, oh, I don't want regrets. I think life is too flexible and too elastic to be, and I try and be too honest with myself, where I don't want to be like head nose stubborn and say, oh, I chose this. This is the path that it took.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm not having any regrets about it. I think it's okay to have regrets.
Yeah.
I think it's okay because that's how you learn. That's how you grow. That's how you develop. That's how you figure out the next stage of your life and what you want to do and how you want to move going forward. And I'm still learning that. I think it's a skill that being able to just sit down and relax and smell the roses. And I think the biggest thing is share information is definitely something that I'm still learning how to
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
to the point where it's like, I don't like oversharing, right?
Yeah.
Because I think probably because of my dad, I don't like when I'm an oversharer, taking the spotlight from other people, right? Like overly bombastic and doing all these things. Like that's just not the spot that I want to be, right? I want to be somebody who lifts people up, who gives the spotlight to them, who helps people feel good about themselves.
And you are
Right.
that person.
And but I also, on the flip side, need to be somebody who can share with others at the same time.
But you
Right.
do. I think it just takes you longer. Like, I think initially you are the person who like is positive and lifts people up and you're curious and you want to know about them and you want to be there and hear about their stories and everything. But I think it just takes you time. Like once you know that like maybe a friend is real or a friend is close, then you like really share. And honestly, like I mean, I think it's true. Like I've seen it happen with like random people you've been friends with over time. It just takes you a little bit more time and once you really know and you can open up, you typically open up.
Yeah.
But even like you sharing your stories with me while we were growing up were so helpful to me because I didn't know a lot of other people who were going through what we went through. And so it was always like very comforting to know that I wasn't alone in that way, especially being an only child. Like I didn't have a sibling to lean on in that way. But like you sharing your stories about what you were going through was really, really helpful for me to just like be able to process what the fuck was happening.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, no, I do think you are that though. Like I think that shows up in your life all the time. Okay, so you think blue, curious, or like learning. Do you have a third?
Yeah, I think it would be just like stupid. Just like
silly.
Like
You're silly.
I want to jump in this lake right now.
You
Like,
are really, really silly. It is true.
And like, and I think because of the weight of everything else in the world, sometimes
Yeah.
I don't always get to show that. Right? Sometimes I take on the burdens of other things, so I feel like I always can't. But in my ideal state, I'm just joking the entire time.
Yeah.
Right? That's all I want to do is just like enjoy life and like be with people that I care about.
You sort of feel like,
Yeah.
and that happened. That comes out too.
Yeah, and I just want to share life with people who have the same sense of humor, who have the same whimsy nature,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So, it goes up and down on how much I'm able to show it,
Yes.
right? But that's all I want to do.
Okay. Honestly, so true. And I see it. I see all of those. It's so wild.
Yeah.
It's so wild. Damn, look at you, reflective. Okay, I'm not gonna ask all my questions because I know we're just like kind of going and tangenting. So I'm gonna ask like 1 to 2 more maybe. Is there a childhood dream that you had as a kid that still lives within you?
Childhood dream. That's not gonna happen.
Just say.
Okay, so the original one that I always say, which is just funny,
Yeah.
is I always wanted to be a professional basketball player in the
Yep.
NBA.
Right. But
And genetics have ruined that. But I mean, there's other ways, right? Like I don't think I would go that path anyways. From like a coworker that I had many years ago, he told me about the life. Like he wanted to be a general manager, right, of a professional basketball team. And I always thought, well, okay, if I can't play, right, a lot of people who can't play go into coaching or they go into front office stuff, right? And I always thought, oh, well, that would be really fun. But based on the life that it amounts itself to, I don't know if I'd ever do that. The thing that I always secondarily thought would be being like a film director.
Oh.
Something like that. Something where
Wait, I never knew that.
Something that I could use more of my creative side to. My job now is entirely analytical.
Yeah.
It's entirely scientific, which I mean I thrive on. Like I'm a very logical person, I'm a very practical person.
Yeah.
A lot of my study obviously has been in STEM fields, so it's just like I'm very good at that stuff. It's easy for me. It's second nature. The creative stuff I find in some ways more rewarding, but it's harder for me to do that, right?
I'm like trying to think. I feel like I only see your analytical side.
That's the primary side that it is. Yeah, for sure.
Whoa.
But I would love, I don't even, it probably just needs to do something small. Like I bought a piano recently, so probably trying to like do that. I always wanted to actually, that's maybe something that I'll start on, is just like creating songs that reflect the stories that I want to share. but it's something where you obviously need to learn the fundamental. I played piano when I was in elementary, middle, until a little bit into high school, but I have not played since then. So it's been many, many years.
Really fit into the Chinese boy stereotype,
exactly, exactly. Yeah. For sure. And so it's been like a decade. So I haven't played any of that
Well, I think
stuff.
muscle memory, it comes back.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it has come back. Sight reading has come back a good bit.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's still the dexterity of it all, right? Like
Yeah.
I need to like rebuild the finger strength.
Yeah,
and all
completely.
That stuff. And up until recently, I haven't really had much time.
Maybe you should come over for a paint night, because I need to paint something for your apartment anyway.
Sure. I'm terrible at painting.
No, but like,
I would
who's
love to
good
do
at it?
it.
No one's good at it unless you like studied it. I'm not great at painting either.
Yeah.
I just like to do it.
Yeah.
But that could be fun.
Yeah.
You, me, mom, going in.
That. Yeah. I mean, she could give me a few tips and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Okay, I didn't even know like film directing or like the creative side, because it's like I never see that with you ever.
Yeah.
Like I can't think about a time that you've like I've seen that creative side of you.
Because I mean, all of it, right? At least just in a similar way that your parents were saying, right? For me, it was like, you gotta, go. You gotta get good, blah, 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 blah. So I didn't feel like I had a whole lot of time to devote to that side stuff.
Yeah.
Right? It was always just like, I mean, like my senior year, I took 3 math courses and like 2 science courses, everything to prepare me for
being an engineer
today.
Yeah, completely. Well, that makes sense. Okay, so we're getting to the end of 2025. What do you feel like is the biggest lesson you've learned in the last year?
Oh, gosh. I think the hardest thing that I'm learning still, but I've learned a lot over the past year and into last year as well, especially being alone in the Netherlands, is learning to trust myself. And I think learning to trust my gut, the way that I feel about things, the way I feel about people, my intuition on where to go next, on how to do next, on how to act. I think that is sometimes hard for me. Like I'm a chronic overthinker, but it's kind of like being more in tune with the emotional side. And if it feels right, probably is right.
Yeah, it's a good one. So the next question I typically ask is, if you were to go back to your 27-year-old self, what advice would you give them? But I'm changing it up because number 1, we're the same age.
Yes.
And number 2,
yes, we are 27.
Literally, we're 27.
I just turned 27.
Just turned 27. But I think this question would be more impactful, like a different question would be more impactful, honestly, for me as a person, just like because I want to know, as like my best friend and as someone who's known me my entire life and as someone who's seen the craziness that I've gone through in the last year. Do you have any wisdom and advice for me?
A wisdom and advice for you?
Yeah.
I don't think that any of it is like really wisdom or advice. I think it's just like, right, a lot of our values, our core values and tenets are the same. We just go about life differently.
Yeah.
So not to say that like anything that you're doing is right or wrong, anything or the way that I do about things is right or wrong. I think we just like, right, like we talked about already, like we just handle situations differently.
Yeah.
So personally to me, I think sometimes you're a little too honest.
Yeah.
Right? I think sometimes it can rub people the wrong way. But again, if you are so focused on not caring about if somebody just doesn't fit that thing, right? Like with Danny, for example, right? Like if you don't care about maintaining that relationship with a person because they're clearly not what you see your life being, then it doesn't really matter all that much.
Yeah. You said that to me before, that sometimes a little too hard. I've gotten better at it, like asking permission.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm gonna like drop some like intense stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just like some of the, like that, like the deft and like the way that happens. I would say, I don't need to. You're in a space with podcasting, with everything else, where you need to be like a big personality, right?
Yeah.
I don't need to be. I don't want to be.
Yeah.
Right? Like I want my personality to be my personality, and I think sometimes in the Instagrammable social media space, you have to take your personality and dial it to 100, right?
Yeah.
You need to be somebody who stands out. You need to be somebody who does all that stuff. And I think to a certain extent, you've always been like a loud personality, but I think I've seen it over the years get even more ramped up as you've gone into the space, and I think as you've leaned into your like honest side,
Yeah.
right? It's like it's gone so far sometimes that it's like you're a little like too forward over there,
Yeah.
kind of crazy, and it's just like, whoa.
It gets a little unhinged sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it is a little unhinged, and sometimes it's a little too much, and sometimes it's like, okay, Sasha, you need to like
Chill out.
You need to like take a breath. We need to calm down. You need to get back to reality. Well, there goes gravity, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the only thing I would say, because I just handle things in a more, I try and be, I guess, like as grounded as I can be, you know?
Yeah, completely.
So I think sometime, but I'm not, right, like I don't really post on social media. I don't really like doing that. I like being in person. I like being with people and kind of having those connections.
Yeah.
I will never be chronically online. I will never be trying to like outdo people, or I guess like show off my like successes or anything like that. But in the world that you're in, right, like in trying to be like an influencer and have a podcast brand and all that stuff, like you need to be somebody who does that, because that's, if you don't, then you're just gonna get swallowed up by literally everything else.
Yeah, exactly. It does like definitely it takes like one aspect of my personality and just puts it on steroids.
Yeah.
Because like I have always been a big personality, and you're right.
Yeah.
Like I have always like been a very, and again, I think it's same but different. Like we both had parents who were very, very big personalities, and you leaned into like chilling out because you didn't want to be that, and I like leaned into like I am a bigger personality, and I don't know if that's because I saw like my parent do that or what, but I have been a big personality, and like that's always been something there. But I do think like sometimes that dial is turned the fuck up, especially the way I want my career to go, and since the breakup too. Like I will say I've seen myself turn that dial up since the breakup, because I felt like I was kind of forced into like not being that for so long that I feel like I went to the extreme. Like it was very much so like, don't share, like be private, like calm down, be quiet. Like it was very much so like put yourself in the box. And I think like I just went to the extreme because I was like put in that box for so long. So yeah.
That's interesting.
But also like it is a persona. Like in some ways I do have a big personality, and that does come through, and sometimes it can be the crazy unhinged like girl, like you know what I mean? But then also online, like it's a persona. It like takes that dial and turns it the fuck up for entertainment, you know? And it's like it is a piece of my personality. It's just it might not be as intense all the time. Like it might just be like a couple hours, or like maybe an hour or two out of the day when we're out and about, but then we go home and we're chilling in the car, we chill in the living room, and we're just like, oh, whatever, like, and I'm just vibing out.
Yeah.
So it definitely changes up a little bit. Okay, last question. Which also, by the way, thank you. Like I really like to hear that kind of feedback from people. It's like, okay, maybe like be more intentional about how I communicate with people, which I'm working on, and then also chill the fuck out sometimes. Like I don't need to like, you know, whatever. Like I don't need to be the big personality all the time, and I don't feel that way all the time. Like sometimes I do like to sit back, observe, see what the hell's happening, you know, whatever, and chill.
Yeah, and I think actually on that point, you know, another piece is just like, I think sometimes you just need to like slow down a little.
Yeah.
Right? I think sometimes you just need to slow down a little, right? Like you've had an awesome last year, right? But like to be able to like sit down and like in some ways, right, part of the reason you do it is to build that brand, you know, Wellness Unhinged and all that stuff, and to have topics for the podcast and other stuff. But I think at the same time, be able to slow down and to not feel like time always has to be money.
Yeah.
Like I don't necessarily, we have so much time on this earth, right? I think a lot of the things that I do don't always even have a direct link to success, value, anything, right? They're just things that I enjoy, which is valuable to me. Right? And that enriches my life, that enriches my relationships, that enriches the way I feel about myself, that enriches, like, you know, spiritually what's going on. And I think sometimes you have been good at that, but I think, I guess, right, like as we talked about dialing it up, I think it's gotten to the point where I've even seen more of the hustle and the grind than I'm used to. And I think in some ways it's a little too much.
It is a little too much. And it's something that I was actually thinking about last week. And I was reflecting on last week when you did not make it to Ho Chi Minh.
I know.
But, which funny story, by the way, Parker was supposed to join me in South of Vietnam and forgot to do his visa and didn't end up making it there. So I had 5 days to myself, which like no big deal, but it was fucking hilarious. But basically what was sitting there reflecting, and I was like, I don't have any time constraints in this time. Like, I have no tours booked. I don't, like, you weren't there, so I wasn't having to worry about, like, okay, spending time with, like, making sure I get my time with Parker and then whatever,
Mhm.
whatever. Like, I had 0 time constraints. But then when I was, and, I got to have my perfect digital nomad day every day while I was by myself. And, like, I enjoyed the fuck out of that time.
Mhm.
But when I was in the moment and when I was doing things that I enjoyed, even though I knew I had enough time, and even though, like, I was getting everything done, every time I was doing something, I was always worried about getting to the next thing, even
Mhm.
though I was, like, wanting to be present when I was doing, like, when I was out wandering around, I was worried about getting back in time to make sure I had enough time for the gym, the pool, and the work. Or when I'm at the gym,
Mm.
like, making sure I had enough time to make sure I had the pool and the work. And,
Yeah, yeah.
like, I mean, sometimes I also think, like, it is the fact that I have to work in the later half of the day because I want to make sure I have enough time for that. Like,
Mhm.
I find that I have less stress in that way when work is at the beginning. Like, I'd much rather work 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then have the rest of my day to do whatever. Like, I'd much rather do that so that I don't have to worry about, like,
Yeah.
getting to work, because work is
That's
the
fair.
priority at this point
Yeah.
because it pays for my life. Like,
course.
my 9 to 5 was so flexible with me. I want to make sure I can prioritize that. But yeah, I mean, I think you've seen it because you've traveled with me, but I think the people online, like, don't see it, is that I have been working and grinding like crazy, like,
Yeah.
while I've been traveling, and it's insane, and it doesn't look like that because I'm not sitting there fucking filming that I'm working, like, however many hours late night, like, they don't see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's true. I do wanna slow down. I do wanna, like, I'm very actively doing my best, and it is, like, a constant intention of mine to be as present as possible because I know that time is, especially this year, but in general,
Mhm.
time is so temporary, and everything is changing all the time, and I wanna be so present in what I'm doing and just enjoying that moment because, like, if I'm worrying too much about the future, I'm just fucking anxious, and, like,
Yeah.
I can't enjoy what the hell I'm doing. I can't enjoy sitting out by the lake with my best friend, like, hanging out and chilling out if I'm worried about going into Hanoi and making sure I'm seeing the shit and eating as many banh mi's as possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I wanna
What are
just
you at,
be
10?
just literally, I don't know how many banh mi's I've eaten. I think at least 10.
Yeah. And I think, right, like, I see this from my dad,
Mm.
right? And I think that's where, like, what I was talking about earlier of looking back and feeling okay with having regrets, right?
Yeah.
I felt regret on the way that I spent my time sometimes, right, in
Yeah.
previous pasts. And I see the way that my dad does it,
Yeah.
right? And I see the way that he's grinding on 14 different things at the same time. He never can sit there and be present. Even recently, right? Like, we just went and had dinner at my birthday. And he wasn't really able to sit and be present because his mind is racing constantly, right? He's never been into, like, board games. We were playing a little trivia game and stuff like that, and he was never really able to turn it off, right? And when he turns it off, he's still so wired, right? He's like watching TikTok, and he's so wired all the time
Yeah.
that he can't be present. It's
Yeah.
really hard for him to be present because he always is going from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And usually it's for good reason.
Yeah.
Usually it's because he needs to make sure that, this program is getting off the ground. This program is still running well. His classes are doing okay. He's got a side consulting gig. He's got blah, blah, blah. And all these things are good and important, and they have a particular reason behind them. But at the end of the day, I just wonder if he'll look and be like, well,
I missed
what
all
was
of
it for?
Yeah.
Right? What is it all for? If it's for, as he says, for us, for my brother and I don't need it. I have always wanted to be and will continue to be as self-sustaining as possible. I
Yeah.
don't want their money. I don't want their support. I want their love, of course, and their time more than anything. I feel very confident in what they've given me thus far, that I will be able to have a good thing moving forward. So I want him to just enjoy the rest of the time he has. And I feel the same with you, that you should, if you, again, right, we had this discussion earlier. If you are really enjoying it for its fundamental thing, not because you're enjoying the feeling of productivity, right?
Mhm.
And I think you have to separate those two. It's not
Mhm.
I enjoy this because I feel like I'm getting shit done and I feel like I'm moving towards this goal. I mean, that's important, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like, if you're like truly, if you were just creating the podcast and you were never sending it out, if you were doing something solely for yourself,
Yeah.
would you do it? I love photography. I love I'm not very good at it all the time,
Yeah.
but I'll do it without posting it because I just love
doing
the art
it.
form of it.
Yeah.
I just love doing it for myself.
Yeah.
And to share with my family, really, is just the only thing.
Completely.
So it's like, if you find that a lot of the things that you're doing are for the love of the game,
Yeah.
right? Or for the love of the game, your internal core nature, your soul, they're fulfilling in that way and not the external factors that come with that validation.
Yeah.
Then I think do it. But otherwise, I think it's just kind of too much sometimes.
Yeah, completely. And I see it like in certain aspects of what I'm doing, it is for the love of the game and for the love of improving and for the love of feeling productive. And then in other ways, it's like for the love of the thing that I'm doing. Like,
Yeah.
I love having this. Like, I love being able to sit down with people I know and love and trust, or even strangers, and having really fucking good conversation.
Yeah.
Like, I love, and I really enjoy editing it. I really enjoy putting it together. Like, I enjoy the process of sitting down and like having these really good conversations, because we have these kind of conversations without the mics on anyway.
Yes.
And like that's what I really love. And I love like being able to sit and talk about what I'm going through and like verbally processing what I'm going through, because again, that's something I do without the fucking mics on anyway.
Yeah.
Parts of the podcast feel like work, but other parts don't feel like work. And with my 9 to 5, it feels like work because it's work. And but it is interesting. I will say, like, the one thing I'm always very conscious of, because it drives me fucking nuts, is when I'm with people and they're not present with me. Like, if we're out to dinner, you will never catch me on my phone unless I'm pulling up a photo to show to you.
Yeah.
You will never catch me on my phone. You will never catch me, like, not being in the moment with my loved ones when I'm there with them, because, like, that is so important to me. And, like, in that way, it's always very, very easy for me to be present. But when I'm alone, or honestly, when I'm alone, it's hard because I'm, like, worried about getting to the next thing. And even now, like, yeah, I'm a little, like, even we said earlier, like, how are we gonna have time to do all this? I'm like, we don't have time. And do I feel a little stressed about that? Yeah, I do. But, like, if something gets sacrificed, something gets sacrificed. And, like, that's fine. It's just like, yeah, I might feel stressed out about it, but I do think I'm getting better at being like, there's not enough time for everything. So, like,
yes,
I just have to prioritize what I'm going to prioritize, and the rest will happen the way it's supposed to. And that's cool. But, like, I still feel the anxiety. Yeah. Okay, last question. Let's make it one sentence. Dead ass, or it can be a little bit, you know, obviously, whatever. If future you were to come back to this moment, what would you tell yourself?
Put your visa in a week in advance. Let's see, what would it be?
Listen to Sasha when she's
You dumb bitch. It's just balance, right? It's just like, I think I was overly overwhelmed with a lot of things. So it's just like making sure, you don't enjoy too much, right? Like, I think before coming to this trip, I was just like spending too much time with my friends and not like saying, hey, one night I just got to sit down and do a bunch of shit that I got to do.
Yeah.
And I think I'm always trying to find the right balance of things. Yeah. And that's
pursuit of life. Yeah.
That's a lifelong thing.
Yeah. I feel that. Anyway, I love you so much.
Love you too.
Thanks for being my friend for literally however many fucking years we've been friends. 22 years.
Whatever.
Oh. All right, let's go explore. So let's go get a fucking banh mi.
No.
I
want to eat whatever that friggin' fish thingy is.
Okay, fine. Let's go find some fish thingy. And an egg coffee. I've had an egg coffee.
Or we can eat more pho.
Or we can eat more pho.
Something not banh mi.
Fine, I'll eat something that's not a banh mi. I'll eat whatever. It's just sometimes a banh mi is just fucking easy.
Well, banh mi is easy and it's very good and it's very cheap. But
all right, let's eat something.
Gotta explore.
Let's go get some food. Let's go explore. Let's go enjoy our last day together.
Yeah.
I love you so much. Thanks for being on the pod. Thanks for being my friend. You're thebomb.com.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Visualize Meditations podcast. Please follow, subscribe, leave a review, all of the good things. If you want to connect more, you can find me on TikTok and Instagram at
Visualize Meditations.
So what are you waiting for? Get out there, create the life of your dreams, and we will see you next week.